everyone, welcome back to Evergreen Arts. Today I'm talking about something a lot of us struggle with, finishing our very first journal. Starting is easy, but actually filling an entire book, that can feel intimidating. I've been there, and I want to share the tips that helped me finally finish my first journal and keep going ever since. But before we get into it, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you all for the support on my last video. It was the first video I ever posted, and I'm absolutely blown away by the response. Thank you to everyone who watched it, and a huge thank you to everyone who liked it, commented, and even subscribed. I had an absolute blast filming, editing, posting, and responding to comments, and I'm so happy that my enthusiasm was returned. Also, a few kind people in the comments let me know that my new journal isn't really a notebook. It's a tear-away notes book. I had absolutely no idea. I got it in person. I didn't order it online. And even though it says Hobonichi Papers right here, I didn't even see that. And even if I did, I wouldn't have thought anything of it. I'm literally brand new to Hobonichi, and that was the first time I saw any of it in person. So even if someone had told me straight up, that's the papers, I would have just assumed that was Hobonichi's name for a notebook, similar to how like the cousin and the Han are named. But yeah, thank you to everyone who let me know. I've been a bit more delicate than I normally would be with my journals, but I already am really delicate with them. So I think it'll be okay. And worst case scenario, if it starts to fall apart on me, I'll just tape them into a different book or something. Oh, also, I placed my Hobonichi order, and I'll be filming an unboxing video once it arrives. I made some last minute changes to my wish list though, so keep an eye out for that video. Anyways, thank you again for all the support. It means so much to me, and I can't wait to share more videos. That being said, let's get into it. Okay, when I first began, I made the mistake of picking a big notebook with tiny lines. As you can see, this is my first journal and this is my fifth journal. Even one page felt overwhelming to fill in this one. It came in a 3-pack, so I have like a blank one here. I just use it as like a list and random notebook. Yeah, the lines are tiny. Here's my Sharpie again for reference. Like the lines are tiny and there's so much space to fill. So start small. A smaller journal makes finishing a page feel more achievable, and that momentum adds up. The last thing you want to do is make journaling feel intimidating. If you're stressed about even opening the book, you're not going to be able to reap the full benefits of the journaling process. So try to find a small journal or notebook for your first one. Maybe like field notes, because even this, it's small in size, but it's pretty thick. There's a lot of pages. Field notes are, I think, the same size, but they're much thinner. So it won't take you as long to finish, and that the sense of completion you get when you finish your first journal kind of really helps motivate you to finish the next one. It's kind of addicting once you've done one to have more that you can flip through. The physical journal to flip through and look back on is just pretty great in my opinion. So start small, and then maybe your next journal can be bigger, but at the beginning, start small. Piggybacking off that, start with one sentence. The first sentence is the hardest to get down, but if you set a goal to write one sentence a day, you'd be surprised how often that one sentence turns into one page or even multiple. Even if it doesn't, that one sentence still counts, and every letter you write is another step to completing your journal. So if all you can do is write one sentence, just know that your one sentence is enough. My next step is to use prompts. You don't always have to write about your day. You can use journal prompts. They're a great way to spark ideas and keep your journal interesting, especially when you're not sure what to write. Simply Googling journaling prompts yields thousands of results, and I can pretty much guarantee that one of those prompts will get your creative juices flowing. And again, start with one sentence. Even if you only have one sentence to say from a prompt, that's better than nothing, and you are making progress, and you should be proud of yourself for even making the effort to write that one sentence. On top of that, you can use tools to help you. A feelings wheel is a great tool for journaling. Instead of just saying, I feel good or I feel bad, You can use the feelings wheel to help you dig deeper and understand your emotions more clearly. This is something that I've only just recently been implementing in my journaling toolkit, and it's been really great. With journaling, one of the biggest benefits is understanding yourself and getting to the root of who you are as a person. The feelings wheel can really nudge you along in the right direction to gaining clarity on yourself. So say I am anxious that day. Maybe I'm more worried than I am overwhelmed. Let's say that I was feeling happy and I was also feeling optimistic and I was feeling inspired that day. You can see that inspired and happy, there's a big difference in saying I'm happy today and I'm feeling inspired. It kind of really helps you do that little step deeper into understanding yourself. And I really recommend, you don't have to print one out. I laminated mine, but you don't have to do that. You can just look up online feelings wheel, and yeah, they're a great tool and I highly recommend using these when you're struggling to just pinpoint how you're feeling. It can be really useful. Alright, so next up, your journal doesn't have to be all words. You can add scraps, tape in receipts or tickets, doodle, and use stickers. In my third journal, I went to Hawaii, and you can see all the national parks have little stamps you can put in. So yeah, I kind of just put the stamps in my journal. And yeah, it kind of adds a little bit of extra something something to your journal. This one has a lot of stickers and stuff in it. My first journal, I put some stickers on the top, but I also put stickers inside. So this was my first journal. I used a lot of stickers and pieces of paper and stuff like that to kind of spice it up. Like I said, I felt really overwhelmed with the size of it, so adding these little accents helped me feel better about filling the space. And I had multiple entries on pages. I didn't force myself to fill a whole page when I didn't feel like I had a whole page of things to say. Nowadays I do end up writing more than one page, but yeah, I'm also in a much smaller journal. But for this one, I started small and I added little details and doodles. Like here I added little accents with my mild liners. Again, I add little inserts, I did a little doodle of a mushroom right here. Yeah, add doodles. So yeah, these little additions kind of make it fun and help fill the space when you don't feel like writing a lot. If making things cute is something that will help motivate you to sit down and write, by all means, cutify to your heart's desire. But at the same time, try to remember that aesthetics aren't the main focus when you're journaling, but they are very fun, and yeah, I enjoy adding little doodles and little stickers and just little fun little accents. If you're the type of person that thrives on routine, try adding journaling to your routine. Routines for me are kind of the only way I get stuff done. So for me, journaling is part of my routine when I first get into the office. I normally come a little bit early, and then I sit down, write in my journal, and then I get on with my day. And yeah, sticking to my routine has been the best way to keep up the habit. I would say about 90% of all my entries are when I first get into the office. I will say journaling is a commitment. It's not going to happen overnight. So you need to make that effort to commit and finish your first journal. You really do have to make the effort, and you have to make a commitment to do it. I find it easiest if I add it to my routine. So find a time that works for you and try to make it as much a part of your routine as brushing your teeth and getting dressed in the morning. So yeah, try to make it routine. That has been the best for me for doing, like I said, 90% of these were when I first got into the office in the morning, and that has just been the best way for me to stay consistent with my journal. And yeah, now I'm on my 5th one, and most of these have been either when I first got into the office or when I got home. Okay, rolling into the next tip. When you catch yourself reaching for your phone or feeling bored, write instead. You'd be surprised how much more satisfying it is to fill a page than to scroll another feed or rewatch that one show you've seen a million times. Even if you already wrote that day, it's okay to write more than once a day. If your routine is to write when you first wake up, but at the end of the day you're bored and you have something you need to get on the page, just do it. It's okay to break your routine if it means that you're gonna write even more. Okay, this one is a little bit of a sad one, but you don't need 10 different journals. I know, online I see it too. People have one journal for dreams, one for junk journaling, one for gratitude, one for travel, one for reading. You don't need it. It's overwhelming. So just start with one journal. If you notice over time that you're naturally writing a lot more in one category, then consider starting a second journal. You may be saying, oh, but evergreen, I like to keep things organized. That feels so chaotic. Here's my little hack. Use sticky tabs. Ignore how janky mine are, okay? Ignore that. But you can use your sticky tabs. Maybe this one's for junk journaling, and this one's for gratitude, and this one's for travel, and this one's for reading, and so on and so forth. When you're finished your journal, you might notice that you have a lot of junk journal entries and not a lot of travel entries. So maybe you can get a junk journal separate from your regular journal, and you can just keep on putting your travel stuff in with your main journal. You don't need to get so many journals when you start. You don't need all of those journals when you first start. If it's your first journal, just having the one is already a big commitment. So just start with the one, okay? I know though. I know. They're so beautiful. It's so fun and it looks so great, but just trust me. You don't need that, and it's just gonna make it harder and harder. And plus, you'll fill it up a lot faster. If you're putting all of those stuff in one book, you're gonna fill it a lot faster. So yeah, don't overcomplicate it. Just stick to the one journal, at least at the start. That kind of brings me to my next tip. Don't pressure yourself into buying the fanciest supplies. A beautiful journal can actually kind of be intimidating because you don't want to ruin it. So get something cheap and simple and just start. Don't worry about wrecking it or getting it beat up. Like, look at this one. It's so crinkled and beat up, and it was like $15 for a 3-pack on Amazon. And I had tried, like I said, this is the first one I finished. It is not my first journal. It's just the first one that I've finished. I had tried other ones and they were much fancier, and this was the first one I finished. And after that, I think these were like $20 or something from the bookstore. And this one was, I think, $17.99. You don't need something fancy. I'm going to the Hobonichi. Like, once it's 2026, I'm switching to Hobonichi, but that's because I'm on my 5th journal. So you don't need to start with the expensive stuff. Although, I will say, if having something fancy is going to help motivate you to write, I would suggest getting a fancy pen. I just recently bought a fountain pen, and this has been really fun and a little bit of a motivator to write in my journal when I'm like not really feeling it, because it's fun. It's fun to write with my fountain pen. I feel fancy. Before I had this though, I wrote a lot with my Pentel Energel. I think this was like $3-4. And then I also have this Uniball Jetstream. I think this was also like $3-4. You don't need fancy supplies. You really don't. And if you're gonna get something fancy, the reason I recommend getting a pen instead is that you can use your pen in something else. Like, if you fully abandon your journal, you're not going to be using it for anything else. But if you get a fancy pen and a cheap journal, you can still use your pen for like your to-do list, your planner, so on and so on, you know. So if you're going to get something fancy, get a fancy pen instead of a fancy journal. And on top of that, try to set a budget, something that works for you and makes sense for your financial situation, but try to set a budget and stick to it. I know how much fun it is to collect stationery and have all this stuff, but to be honest, I have been collecting for years now, and I know how fun it is. I got these today. Literally today I got these. But my stationery, I have been collecting over a long period of time, and I think I'll go out on the limb and say so as pretty much every other content creator around like the journaling space and stuff like that. So Don't feel like you have to go out and get everything that you see online all in one go, because that's not what they did. And if they did, they're either rich or they're not making very good financial situations, and I would not follow their lead. So don't feel like you have to have everything all at once. You don't need 100 washies. You don't need 100 pens and every single mild liner and this and that and that. Just get one pen and one notebook. That's all you need to start. And if that's all that's in your budget, that's all you need. So just set a budget that works for you and stick with it. And then maybe later on you finish your first journal and journaling has now proven to be something that you will stick with. Then you can kind of up it a little bit and spend a little bit more money on it. But remember, it's not a fast fashion type thing. It's kind of you slowly accumulate stuff over time. So try to set a budget and try to stick with it. All right. This one is a bit of a big one. It's okay to take breaks, okay? If you fall out of the habit, don't beat yourself up. I've gone weeks, even months without journaling. Just pick it back up. Write about today, not about everything you missed. You're not writing a novel. You don't have to worry about plot holes. This is something I struggle with still, and I'm on my 5th journal. Lots of times my breaks start with a big day. I feel intimidated to write everything down. And this was a particularly big issue for me in my last journal. It took me the longest time of them all to complete because there was so much going on in my life that putting it all on paper just felt impossible, especially if I went longer than a day without writing. Then one day, I wanted to journal after like a month-long gap or something like that. It might have even been longer than a month. And I just decided to ignore the gap and write what I wanted to write about in the first place. And after that, my gaps became much smaller because jumping in just felt that much more approachable. So don't be afraid to leave out details. Like, you're not writing a novel. It's okay to have plot holes. It doesn't have to be, like, it doesn't have to make sense. It really doesn't have to make sense to anyone but you. And if writing everything that happened between your gap is what's stopping you from getting back into journaling, ignore the gap and just write about what you want to write about. That kind of leads into my last but biggest tip. Don't let perfectionism stop you. Life is messy, and your journal can reflect that. It doesn't have to be beautiful or neat. It just has to be yours. Once I let go of trying to make every page perfect, I was finally able to write honestly and vulnerably. Being imperfect and ugly in my journal is what has been the most rewarding. Being honest in your journal is hard at first. Journaling is like a relationship. It takes a while to warm up and be truly vulnerable with your journal. But again, start small. Maybe you had a bad day and you're feeling so cranky. You don't need to look on the bright side in your journal. You can be grumpy and cranky. You're not going to scare off the pages. On the more visual side of things, don't be afraid of having messy writing and ugly doodles. If you're being honest, you're doing more for yourself than if you had a beautiful page full of fluff when you're not feeling very fluffy. Like, I will say, I showed you some cute pages where I had added stuff into this journal, and then journaling kind of felt a bit overwhelming to me because I was trying to make it look perfect. I eventually stopped and I started just writing and only writing, not even doing my little mile liner things. And then I started to feel it a lot faster. I kind of just let go of my perfection and just started to write. And then I slowly started introducing more like pretty stuff, I guess. Once I had let go of perfectionism and truly just was journaling for the point of journaling, not to be beautiful, just to be my journal, then I was able to reintroduce like a cute little sticker and a cute little washi and stuff like that. So just don't be afraid to have an ugly journal, because at the end of the day, it's your journal and you don't need to make it look any kind of way, because it's not an Instagram feed. It's not for Pinterest. It's for you and your self-exploration and self-discovery. It's about understanding yourself. It's about documenting your life. It's about what you want it to be about. It doesn't have to be about being perfect. It doesn't have to be about being beautiful, and it really shouldn't be about being perfect and beautiful, because you're not perfect, you know? I'm not perfect. Not everything is beautiful and not everything is perfect, and I think that's okay. And I think that the sooner you get over your perfectionism, the sooner you can really reap the benefits of journaling. And as a perfectionist myself, also I just realized this was hanging out that whole time, so sorry about that. As a perfectionist myself, yeah, it's hard to let go of that, but once you do, it's honestly the best thing that has happened to me for when it comes to my journaling. So in conclusion, finishing your journal is less about being perfect and more about being consistent, personal, and real. My first journal took me a long time to complete, but once I learned these lessons, I started filling them so much faster and enjoying the process more. So if you're working on your first journal, I hope these tips help you get to the last page. And remember, your journal doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you again for all the support on my last video. I have a bunch of ideas for future videos, but if there's something in particular you want to see, just leave it in the comments below. I'm planning on posting at least once a week, if not more. If you liked the video, like the video. If you have any other tips for finishing your first journal, please leave those in the comments. And if you'd like to see more videos like this one, please consider subscribing. Oh, and if you're a small business and sell stickers, please comment your shop name or email me a link to your shop. I want to buy some more stickers, but it's so hard to tell which Etsy shops are real and which are just stolen art or AI or whatever. Your shop doesn't have to be on Etsy though, it just has to ship to Canada. I was thinking it would be a fun way to support small businesses to do a little haul of all the cute stuff I buy and then link them in the description. Kind of like a win-win-win. I get to buy cute stationery, small businesses get at least one sale, and you get a fun haul video. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say. Thanks again for watching and have a great rest of your day. Bye!